Welcome to Black Hat 2025. We are here. We're recording live. So this is live. So when I screw it all up, well, you know how that goes. It's the Cyber Risk TV studio in Mandalay Bay in sunny Las Vegas. I'm your host, Doug White, and joining me for this interview is Yuval Wollman, the president of CyberProof. Hi, welcome.
Hi, good to be here, Doug. Thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome that you could be here because I wanted you to tell me a little bit about CyberProof, because this was a company that I obviously looked it up and so forth, but I wasn't as familiar with the name when I first saw the interview schedule. So could you tell everybody about it?
Sure. CyberProof is a part of a broader group called UST. At CyberProof, we provide managed detection and response services to the enterprise market. Okay. Now, to work with enterprise customers, you need to provide them with a broader exposure management perspective. What does it mean? If I am a security leader at an enterprise, I have so many tools. I have so many alerts coming out of that. Risks, vendors, third-party vendors and risks. What do I do with all that noise? How do I cope with it? What is my real exposure? What is my real risk? And we at CyberProof help you to understand what is your security posture, what is your full exposure. And to do that properly, you need to follow the threats. There's so much noise, so many bad people, we're going to talk about them. But only a few one are relevant to you, to your industry, to your vertical, to your company, to your brand, to your team. So how exactly can I identify who they are? What do they want from me? What kind of capabilities do they have? Where are they? This is what we're dealing with at CyberProof.
Yeah, when I first went to university, I got a job working at the computer center, and I walked in on the first day, and they said one of your jobs is here's the logs, and they were all printed, so they were printed on green bar, and the stack was about that high, and I said, what am I supposed to do with all that? And he said, well, you review it and sign off that there's no threats, and I said, what? How am I supposed to do that? So I think today we have that same problem, only in even vaster quantities.
More virtual world, yes.
Because you have so many different threats, and that threat surface expanded from when I was there, which was the 36 workstations, to now the entire world and the planet. So I know you guys were doing some studies and reports and things like that. Yeah. So like who are these biggest threat groups that are coming after pretty much everybody at this point?
I'm going to answer that, but you said something that I want to start with, very interesting, about the attack surface, that it has expanded dramatically.
Yep.
And everyone, we are close to the Black Hat conference, and everyone in the market is talking about the Gen AI revolution, and specifically now about Agentic AI. If you think about those agents, they are providing you with more attack surface effectively. Because now, we always used to say that, in an organization, in an enterprise, the weakest link is the most important link. And usually it is a human. But now an agent can be that link, that weak link, because you can manipulate the agent. You can prompt, various malicious asks for that agent to act in the wrong way, as opposed to the original intention of the employee that operated that agent. Or you can manipulate the data that the agent uses. So effectively, this huge change that we're seeing is actually making things more risky. And this is where we need to, we always talk about how agents are being used by the hackers, and we're going to talk about that a little bit today. But think about that from a different way, from the defensive side. They are creating further risk.
Yep. I mean, they absolutely do, because I always tell people that humans are the biggest threat. I mean, I've been saying that since 1986, because one of the very first sort of pen tests, when it wasn't called that, kind of campaigns I ran, was calling a place I worked, and we were just literally calling employees out of the phone book from off-site, so their phone double rang, so they knew it was coming, and trying to get them to give up credentials. And we succeeded almost 80% of the time in the first round. But today, because I have agents, I can try to trick those, I think probably more predictable human-esque kind of creatures than the humans even were, because humans can behave erratically, but agents are going to follow a plan. So, I mean, I think that threat surface just went through the roof when we started introducing these things. But those can also be defenders, right?
Correct. So you can use the agents to impersonate and to do the phishing campaign that you guys have done in the late 1980s and further. But I think that the AI-powered approach that you just mentioned for hackers is one of the biggest trends that is taking place in 2025, and moving forward, it will only increase. And you know the term MTTE, mean time to exfiltrate data. It has dropped dramatically from 9 days to 2 days. And I want to talk specifically about an interesting group called Funksec. What's unique about Funksec that they have taken those agents and LLM tools to lower the barrier of entry to the hacker's world. It's much easier now to create the code, to impersonate, to run a phishing campaign, to build a ransomware, where it's much easier. And you can even think about that from an economic perspective. You can build a platform, a marketplace for hackers to come and buy it.
Of course.
So Funksec specifically, they've built FunkBid, but you can find many other organizations such as Dragonforce. Dragonforce, what they've done, Dragonforce, they have built a shop. And we provide you all the tools, and you just need to take your own brand, and you are a new hacker group out there in the market. As opposed to 2 years ago, you had like a marketplace, you have a pool of talents. If you want to build a group, you are reaching out to the CFO, to the CTO, to the analyst, to the CEO. You build a group and you go out and make some money. Now it's much easier because of those tools that you mentioned.
Yeah, and they have really good customer service. I was
true.
exploring some of these things. There was Ransomware-as-a-Service tools and other as-a-service tools, and I was really shocked at the customer service quality. It was a lot better than... I'll not name this airline. It was a lot better than an airline. You can fill in whichever one you hate the most here. But I really saw that, and they've turned it into an industry.
Yes.
That it almost looks like a legitimate industry at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does. It's not even like organized crime or something. It's just like straight up above boards. Like, here we are. We do this. We sell this service.
It's actually the third largest economy in the world today. The
Not at all
cyber
surprised.
capital that you can make out of it.
And that makes it an even bigger threat, right? Because, I mean, now they have the third largest economy in the world. They have every bit of interest in targeting and showing they can accomplish these things because they want to get new customers.
Yep.
And so you really have to market that. That's pretty scary.
Yeah, and you can also, you're talking about professionalizing, do that vertically, meaning build a group that is focused now only on retail.
Right.
For example, Scattered Spider, who attacked the UK retail group. It's in the report that you mentioned earlier, right? Earlier in this year, Harrods and Marks and Spencer's and Co-op, they just were focused on the UK. And think about the impact. It's not only the economic impact, but also the social media impact and the press that you're getting. So the money, the profit you can gain out of it is much bigger. And of course, there are some other motivations where it comes to geopolitics. We'll talk about that. But I think from an economic perspective, the motivation and the incentives are huge.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they have a lot. So the idea of counting coup is a sort of term, that's a hackery term that's, I guess, really old-fashioned wordage, but it's really something. And I always remember I worked at a bank once, and they had this huge edifice that they didn't need. They had all these marble steps and everything. And I asked somebody once, why do we spend all the money on this? And they said it's about perception.
Yeah.
People want to know their money is safe, so you need to build something safe. So I think targeting industries, you don't want to be that company that gets picked out, like say a casino. If people didn't trust that the casino was being honest, the casino is going to suffer a lot.
Yeah.
So those like Scattered Spider really likes to do that, and they like to focus on specific things. Correct. But I did want to talk to you a little bit about the sort of fallout from these wars and things as well, because what I've seen is these nation states, have always fought wars. I mean, this has been going on since the dawn of time. But as these nation states do battle with various and sundry people, do you think there's a lot of like collateral damage spillover from these things?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the cyber dimension of geopolitical conflicts, if sometimes it's being used when you do not want to engage in physical war,
Of course, yeah.
and sometimes you embed it within the physical war layers. And we've seen that in Ukraine and Russia 3.5 years ago. We are seeing that constantly between Israel and Iran. But even if you take, for example, a very short conflict, hopefully it will keep being short, between Pakistan and India, just 3 months ago, the hostilities took place, I think, net 4 days. Very short. Aggressive, but short. You saw a rise of about 600 attacks between those two countries within that period of time. You saw new 45 groups coming in, stepping and attacking each other. But what was also interesting to see is how criminals started to identify themselves with a nation state goals. Because you saw a Pakistani group called Site Copy. They attacked Indian government agencies, education system, railroads. They didn't ransomware to get money from an Indian bank necessarily. They went all in. So are they nation state backed or not? Or if you take, for example, a North Korean group that is using, so it's not a government backed, but it's using government tools, Moonstone Slick, they call themselves. So are they nation state or not? So the identity here, the lines are not as clear as we thought it is. And because everything now is converged into a brute force trend where you have those, we spoke about Iran and Israel, we spoke about Pakistan and India, we spoke about Russia and Ukraine, you have the South China Sea conflict, and you have a few other tacit tensions between Russia and the entire European continent, right? So we will see those convergence more and more tighten in the next few months, in the next few years, and the attacks will be even more brutal with new tools that we just mentioned.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that threat surface expands downward from that nation state. So if you have a very large nation state, like say China, and they have developed secret toolkits, nobody knows about these things. They may have hundreds of exploits that they're not going to reveal because they're a nation state. They're not just some 12-year-old hacker. They're a nation state. They hold these things dearly. And then this kinetic war starts, or even just a political war starts, a tariff war, I don't know, and you unleash a bunch of these exploits. That could just trickle all the way down through nation state affiliates. So these are just people you say, yeah, sure, we'd love for you to do something, to hacktivists, who are people that say, I'm on your side, to fake hacktivists, which are people that just use this as an opportunity to exploit somebody, on down through people going, wow, there's a good exploit. I'm going to use that on people that haven't patched up, because they're basically saying, this doesn't concern me. It's Oceania attacking Grand Fenwick. It's not my concern, because I saw that a lot with the Ukraine. So, I mean, do you see this just continuing to expand? I mean, at what point, what do we do?
I think it grows probably exponentially. There is a very good question of how can you deter? If we keep ourselves in the geopolitical layer, can you make effective deterrence? Because you mentioned the nation state crown jewels that they want to use and deploy. So we've seen that deterrence in place. Earlier, through the Russian-Ukrainian war, we saw how the U.S. administration posed a threat, public threat. It was one of the chiefs at the White House, and it probably had an impact on the Kremlin. They backed off from some of their attacks because the U.S. publicly said, which is very, very rare, we'll go after you, after your infrastructure, and we have the capabilities. So as long as you can frame it within political context, there are political tools to handle that. But you said it right. It goes way deeper to economic incentive, the third largest economy, as we said. You have business models, you had marketplace, you have cartels now that provide you with the tools, but they want to own the knowledge. So I think that we're heading to a world that is more chaotic And if I am a government agency or an enterprise or a smaller company, I need to carefully think about what do I do not to be the weakest link in the industry. How do I protect myself? How do I get the exposure management perspective that I mentioned earlier? So these are the actions that effectively we need to take as security leaders in our day-to-day. So many things to do, but we must be optimistic, because if you make a few steps right and use the right solution, not necessarily the right tool, but the right state of mind and framework, you can be very well protected and mainly decrease the risk. You will never be fully protected.
No. I mean,
but it's about how
possible.
can you lower the risk and make sure that you are, reasonably protected to face exfiltration of data and any kind other.
Because my stack of green bar now would fill a couple of warehouses a day in terms of all the pings and threats and alerts and everything that would pop up on those kind of reports. So obviously the threat surface has expanded to some almost infinite place. Yeah. We all have to be very, I think we all have to be very, very, very cautious, especially with all these things going on as we see this stuff leaking out into the future. Thank you, Yuval Wollman, for joining us today. And if you want to find out more about CyberProof, please visit securityweekly.com/cyberproofbh for Black Hat. And for all our Black Hat 2025 coverage from Cyber Risk Alliance, please visit securityweekly.com/Black Hat. Thanks again, Yuval.
Thank you for having me, Doug.
Yeah.